All right, let's dive into something well, it's about as human as it gets. We're going to explore an ancient concept called Rāga. It's a term from early Buddhist texts that's all about passion, lust, desire, attachment, and it's seen as one of the most powerful forces shaping our entire experience.
So, have you ever stopped to wonder, where do these incredibly strong desires even come from? You know, the powerful attachments, the things we just can't seem to shake. Turns out, there's a pretty fascinating origin story for all of it.
Okay, so one ancient story goes something like this. Humans started out as these beings of light, but over time they got more and more attached to the physical world. And then came the big moment. A man and a woman looked at each other, really looked at each other, and for the very first time, bam, passion flared up. And it's described as a literal burning that sparked inside their bodies. This wasn't just a crush. This was the birth of a force that would define the rest of the human story.
So there you have it, an ancient story for how desire itself was born, a fire that was lit right at the dawn of our existence.
But wait a minute, if passion is so fundamental, what's the big deal? Why is it a problem? Well, to get that, we need to look closer at what Rāga really is, and what this burning actually does to us.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. The word we're talking about is Rāga. It's a Pali word and it covers a whole spectrum. On one end, yeah, it's lust, it's strong desire. But it also goes way deeper, pointing to this sticky attachment, a kind of psychological greed that just wants to cling to everything. The icons here really say it all. It's a fire that burns you up and chains that bind your mind.
And here's what's so fascinating. Rāga isn't just some fleeting emotion that pops up. Nope. It's considered a latent tendency, something that's kind of just lying there, deep in the mind, waiting. And check this out. There are two main forms of it here. First, sensual passion. That's the easy one, right? Craving that delicious meal, wanting to see something beautiful. But then there's this other deeper one, passion for becoming. Whoa, that's the craving for existence itself. The desire to get the promotion, to build a legacy, to simply continue, to be something more.
To really get at the heart of the problem, the texts use this incredibly vivid, almost shocking metaphor. Imagine a leper, right? His body is covered in these painful open sores. To try and get some relief, he stands next to a pit of burning coals. For a second, that intense heat might feel good. It might distract from the itching. But what's actually happening? He's making the wounds worse, more infected, and just deepening that awful burning sensation. That, the texts say, is exactly what we're doing when we chase our passions looking for happiness. It's a temporary fix that makes the underlying problem so much worse.
And right here, it's spelled out for us crystal clear. This craving, this constant, restless hunt for the next little hit of pleasure, the next moment of delight, that is the root cause of our suffering. It's the very engine that keeps us feeling dissatisfied and stressed.
Okay, so if passion is this burning fire, are we just supposed to let ourselves get burned up? Absolutely not. The texts lay out a very clear, very practical path for cooling those flames.
The approach is actually super methodical. It's basically a three-part game plan. First, you actively work on changing how you see things, really looking at impermanence, for example. Second, you develop specific meditation practices that are like direct antidotes to that passionate fire. And third, you practice mindfulness, just learning to watch those feelings arise and pass away, like clouds in the sky, without having to grab onto them.
So what are these specific tools in the toolkit? Well, you've got things like loving-kindness meditation to work with ill will. And to deal with passion directly, there's the meditation on the unattractive. Now that one sounds kind of grim, right? But it's not about being a downer. It's more of a mental hack to deconstruct our obsessions and see things in a more balanced way, breaking the spell of attachment. It's all about intentionally training the mind toward dispassion and calm.
So what's the payoff? What does this actually look like in real life? This example just hits the nail on the head. The situation outside of you is exactly the same. You see an ex with someone new. Now, in the mind that's tangled up in Rāga, in attachment and clinging, that sight triggers a whole storm of sorrow, grief, maybe anger. But in a mind that's free from Rāga, the same sight is just a sight. That painful, gut-wrenching emotional reaction just doesn't happen. The freedom isn't about changing the world, it's about changing your mind's reaction to it.
And all of this leads to the ultimate goal. And I want to be really clear, this isn't about becoming some cold, emotionless robot. Not at all. It's about reaching this state of incredible peace and profound clarity called viraga, or dispassion.
So viraga is the direct opposite of Rāga. If Rāga is that hot, burning, clinging feeling, then viraga is coolness.
calmness. It's the fading away of that feverish grasping. The imagery here, the water, the sun, the pure lotus, they capture the feeling perfectly. It's a state of clarity, peace, and just untroubled well-being.
And how do you get there? It's all about the complete and total letting go of that craving. The texts use these beautiful words for it. Relinquishing, like you're finally putting down a heavy bag you've been carrying for miles. Release, like being set free. And non-attachment, where there's just no place for craving to stick. It's breaking the chains for good.
So what's the bottom line? When you free the mind from the fever of passion, you free the mind, period. And that isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning. It opens the door to everything else. Real tranquility, deep insight into how things work, and yes, the end of suffering.
So I want to leave you with a question to take with you. If we run with this ancient metaphor, that passion is a fire that can both warm and burn us, take a moment to look at your own life. What are the things that act as fuel, constantly feeding those flames of attachment and craving? And maybe more importantly, what acts as water? What cools you down, soothes the burn, and brings you closer to a state of real peace and clarity? It's a powerful thing to reflect on. Thanks for joining me.